Yes. Sorry for blowing out your eardrums. Yes. Yes.
Oh! Do, do, do.
Well, what goes well with Mike Trout? How about some Shohei Ohtani? Maybe clip that. Maybe you want to clip that. Just I don't know. That might be a clippable moment.
I'm Lucky Dave.
I'm Ned Niederlander.
I'm Dusty Bottoms. So together we're
the Three Amigos.
Welcome all in.
Oh my gosh, what are you wearing? What is that?
I'm wearing my son's piñata.
There
we go.
No, that's a piñata. What?
No. This is the best I could come up with. So welcome in everyone to the darkened Three Amigo show. There we go. We got some lights.
You look like Gandalf in like Lord of the Rings, kind of.
Well, sorry, I'm up in Canada. We don't have a lot of Mexican things. Like I'll do the best I can.
I think it's important not to culturally appropriate Mexican culture too much.
No,
as a guy in Canada, you know.
Okay.
I mean, there's NAFTA. Okay. I guess we've got the NAFTA, but you know, you should have more free trade. You should have more stuff.
We do have NAFTA. We do have. We do have. What's that?
The Wicked Witch of the South, as Fussmucker says.
Oh. Well, there we go. Yeah. Well, maybe of the North. I'm in Canada.
I do like Chalupa Pants calling it the Harry Potter sombrero. So
whatever you like, whatever tickles your fancy on this Thursday morning. Welcome in, everyone. This is the Hype Show. Let's get the hype votes in the chat. We've got the Three Amigos, as you can see on the screen. EVC Amigo number 1. I'm Amigo number 2. And Sporer. Yeah, Sporer has agreed to come on a little bit later, and he will be the third Amigo. We're here to get you hyped up about today's set, which of course is Negro League 4 set. And EVC, I know you're the same. You like the stories in baseball, the history of baseball. Playing OOTP allows us to dig more into the history. I see it in your slides. I see it in other presentations. In terms of Negro League stars that stand out for me, I'll go first. I know Turkey Stearns, Thanksgiving having recently passed. Turkey Stearns is always a great story, a great name. Of course, not his birth name. Parents aren't going to name you Turkey, I would hope. But I really love this quote, and Heath Dog sent this to me yesterday. He said, "You should show this, Lap. Yes, Turkey talks to his bats. Stearns tended to think of his bats as living things, extensions of his own arms, and he would carry the best of them around in violin cases. He carried around different size bats for different situations, and after games, back at the hotel, teammates would overhear him thanking his bats for delivering big hits or admonishing them for popping up. If I had used you," one teammate recalls him saying to a bigger bat, I would have hit a home run. He was known to threaten a bat that slumped with an axe and thought to sleep with the bat he had particularly had a good day with. It goes without saying that he never let anyone use one of his bats. From writer Joe Poznanski, from apparently from the Negro League. So that is my player that I'm kind of focusing on. Do you have one that stands out for you?
I mean, it's such an amazing thing. Like, again, this game has really allowed me to learn a lot more, and I need to spend more time. There's just so much to kind of unravel and learn. And, doing theme teams has actually opened up new things about the Negro Leagues that I haven't done. So, like, I don't know if there's one player, but like I go through and think about, like one of my theme teams is players and song titles or lyrics. And there's a song by the Ultramagnetic MCs that you should totally listen to. It's called The Saga of Dandy, the Devil, and Day. And it's one of the best songs ever about black baseball, name drops Cool Papa Bell, different players, etc. And then I also have My Franchise Was Gone, so all franchises don't currently exist. One of my favorites is the Atlantic City Baccarat Giants. I'm like, what? Where did that name come from? And the Baccarat Giants were actually two black politicians from Atlantic City, bought the Duval Giants from Florida and moved them up to Atlantic City to start the team and build it out. And that team ended up being one of the initial teams founding of the Eastern Color League and won the championship in 1926. And they named it after the city's mayor, whose last name was Baccarat. So that's where that came from. But like I said, it's hard to come down to one story. And honestly, you shouldn't go down to one story. There's so many great stories in the Negro Leagues. And the best storyteller of all about the Negro Leagues is Bob Kendrick. If you don't know who Bob Kendrick is, he is the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum president and historian. And he hosts an amazing podcast called Black Diamonds. So it's Black Diamonds. You can find it on Spotify. Like Sporer says, Bob's excellent. His voice is the best. You get all these great stories. He interviews all these great people. And each of the podcasts, usually there's one devoted to different players. There was one about Turkey Stearns. The fact that Turkey Stearns ended up having to work in the winters in the auto factory of the guy who owned the Tigers, who would not employ him. It employed him to make cars, but wouldn't employ him on the Tigers because of the color of his skin. He talked about another great one, which I was fascinated of. The Yankees co-owner Larry McPhail at the time, who was talking to LaGuardia, the mayor of New York, advised against integration because the Yankees were making significant renting out Yankee Stadium to black ball clubs. So again, I haven't had a chance. I now need to go to Kansas City and see the Negro League Baseball Museum. It's supposed to be spectacular. And again, just hearing the stories that Bob Kendrick tells, they're spectacular. And I highly recommend it. If you're commuting somewhere, if you're driving somewhere, you need to listen to something as a podcast, break in and go find one of these podcasts that have all sorts of different players. You can hear about their histories and stories, players themselves. I think they have double duty Radcliffe on a podcast. So definitely, I think my favorite part of just learning, and this game continues to expand. This year, we've got even more Negro League players in the game than we've ever had in OTP. I think we've got already 173 with whatever 14 or 15 more we're going to get today. And 38% of the cards that are coming so far this season are cards that weren't in the set last year, right? And that was one of our highest, one with 150 cards. So it just continues to kind of learn about all these different players, which is spectacular.
And put the website to the museum in the chat if you want to look it up a little bit. And, got some great videos on there. Women of the Negro League. Sometimes we forget about the women playing the game, the impact of international influence, Jackie and Monte. So yeah, some great videos and even some merch. And EVC, we found a new hat for you, it looks like.
I mean,
Lots of hats here.
That's a pretty stellar hat. That's a pretty stellar hat.
that looks pretty good with.
I'm trying to keep with your theme. I'm wearing the LMB hat, the Liga Mexicana de Baseball League hat that I got when I was in Mexico City. I did not get a sombrero, but I was very lucky to when I was down in Mexico City. Somehow my wife met through friends the president of the League of Mexican Baseball. We were able to sit in one of the boxes and hang out at the stadium, and it was pretty awesome.
Well, I did not get a sombrero either, so
your hat was spectacular, though. It was Gandalf in Tijuana. It was beautiful.
I still like to think of it as a piñata, as wearing a piñata, and I just don't want anyone to get their baseball bat and start bashing.
Where did your son find that? I'm just again.
I don't ask questions. I just say thank you, just thank you, and I'll put it on for a minute. But, yeah, no, we're here to celebrate the Negro Leagues. And EVC, you had your Guess the Set contest on yesterday. You ran that, and you still put the form in the chat today. People have one last opportunity.
No, I killed it. Well, we can put it.
Oh, you killed it? It's done? Okay.
I can turn it back on right now. If you have a chance and want to get and guess the set, let's see if I did it right. There's the link. You have about 2 or 3 more minutes to get your votes in on Guess the Set, guessing what cards are coming out in less than an hour now. We got
less than an hour. And before EVC kind of sums up, the choices, and then he can turn off his thing so you guys don't copy, because I know some of you are copiers out there. I do it myself sometimes.
Spoken like a true teacher.
Yeah, exactly. No cheating. We will have Sporer coming on. He is the third amigo. He's going to pop in for our last segment, and got a little surprise for you. Yeah, we have a little surprise for you on the 3 Amigos set. We'll leave Sporer to announce that, but there will be a little 5-pack giveaway that goes with that. So stay tuned. And of course, we're going to raid into TWIPT at about 1/4 the hour, so you guys can get the full lock on for your packs, because usually TWIPT starts at about 11:45 a.m. And then, of course, after TWIPT, back with the Hawk Report. And of course, Charles isn't here this week. He's traveling. So we will have Izadaffel back for his 3rd appearance, including trivia and the bounty and all the stuff we usually do on the Hawk Report. So come back on over once you see the new cards. All right, EVC, I think maybe a quick wrap up. What was the community thinking on Guess the Set? What numbers do you have for us?
I'm just about to close. First, I want to give a shout out to Laptop. Waking up early. This is early on the West Coast. Putting together the hype show, putting everything together, get something new content out there, which is kind of fun. And, again, shout out to Laptop Pound, who is our, what did I call you? The den father of the streamers?
You said den mother.
I'm trying to be nicer. You've taught me some things. How to be so nice.
I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for coming across so cruel to you, EVC.
Okay, I'm shutting down the responses now. Let's go through and talk about our top picks so far. Again, if you just added something this morning, it's not in this summary. I put together a little summary beforehand. Don't thank Laptop for being the wrong time zone. Love it. So 90% of voters, we had about 22 people coming in. We guessed about 63 different players for this set. And 90% of people on their ballots put Oscar Charleston. It's kind of one of the big names outstanding. I did get that. You also on these forums can choose who is my bunk. Who did I think was going to be through? And one person was brave enough. I guess that Oscar Charleston would be at his well, but one person was brave enough to put him as bunk. And it's very possible that Oscar could be saved for something a little bit different. So Oscar, maybe Oscar is going to be saved for like a Hall of Fame set later on. Like you just don't know what kind of left field thing's going to happen with these sets. So there's always a little curveball on things. It's so obvious that Oscar Charleston be there. It's obvious that it shouldn't be the pick, right? But that was the top pick overall, 90%. And you can see again, just an amazing career. Ranked, I think, by Bill James, one of the top 4 players behind like Cobb and Ruth, and I can't remember the 4th. So again, I think Oscar is kind of one of the big ones. Then I've got 2 other picks that came in 62% of the voters. Minnie Minoso, who I think Machia Pet and maybe it was Fussmarker noticed that Minnie Minoso's birthday was yesterday. So Minnie Minoso was guessed by 62% of the voters. And again, famously played in the majors in every single decade. You know, in the 50s, 60s, 80s, I think played in through, did minor league. If you click on the minor league, we were doing this yesterday and looking at some of his minor league play. But here you can see he was in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and 80s. I think showed up in minor league play in the 90s as well. You have to go under the gray bar that says Minoso's extra pages up at the top. More Minoso pages, and then look at minor winter Mexican independent leagues, that first link there. And that'll show some of the other years that he played in independent ball. So I think up until his 80s that he played. So there you go, 2003.
Yeah.
I know, Embezzler, you helped me out. We did a little of this on the stream a couple days ago, just yesterday. But yeah, those 2 years playing with the St. Paul Saints in Minneapolis in the 90s were kind of nuts. So Minnie Minoso was tied for second, and the other was Judy William Johnson, or Judy Johnson, was another big pick. And Judy Johnson, again, I think, if I'm memory correct on these notes, is that basically one of the best defensive third basemen in the Negro Leagues. And so, no, Minoso is not a coach. I think just the St. Paul Saints were willing to have him come in and play. I don't know if he has any other ties to St. Paul Saints. I don't know if anyone knows, but there's Judy Johnson. You see them are in his Hilldale uniform for the Hilldale Club, which was outside of Philadelphia. Again, one of the top kind of third base arms already in the Hall of Fame or elected to the Hall of Fame. And, you know, really known mostly for his glove, but, you know, 304 lifetime batting average, 419 on base percentage lifetime, not a bad player at all. And so you've got, you know, those two. So we've got Oscar Charleston at 90%, 62% on Minnie Minoso and Judy Johnson. And then we've got 2 others tied at 48% of the vote came in for William Hendrick Bill Foster, also in the Hall of Fame. And Bill Foster, and again, I just hats off the laptop, just kind of rolling. I didn't tell him what my list was because I wasn't sure what it was. So he's just rolling here and showing up the stats as we go through. But Bill Foster. Now, Minnie Minoso, also, that was a note some Minerva made, you know, Minoso, Minoso was not in last year's Negro League set. He was part of the Build lineup last year. So Bill Foster, he was, I'm going to say, the older brother. I can't remember if he's the older or the younger brother of Rube Foster, who kind of set up the Negro National League, but was a great player in his own right, also elected to the Hall of Fame. And I guess he would be celebrating, his 120th birthday next year, based on the stats that you got there. So Bill Foster. And yeah, really great pitcher as a lefty. I don't remember if I have something else specific about him that I talked about in yesterday's stream, but really strong pitcher. Let's see, do I have that up here? Let's see if I can find that somewhere here.
Yeah, 31 shutouts.
Sorry?
31 shutouts, 127 complete games, almost 1 inning short of 1,500 innings pitched.
Yeah. So, and one of the stellar kind of pitchers. And then tied with him, also 48% of the vote came in for Roy Campanella. Campy who we have already as a tournament edition 100 overall card. But Roy Campanella played for the, I want to say the Baltimore Elite Giants. Oh, I really need to find my, let's see here. Why isn't it showing up?
Yeah, you got it. Baltimore Elite Giants.
Yeah. And again, very key. If you listen to the Black Diamonds podcast, it was the Elite Giants. That's how they pronounced it. So it was the Elite Giants. They'd look at you funny if you called it elite. And
we got sirens. Get the siren hype in the chat. Let's get that hype going. Look at his teammates. I mean,
yeah,
it's the who of
there's Tommy Butts is there, Henry Kimbrough, George Scales, a lot of big names that were there. I was trying to remember who he was in. I remember reading a story about him being in a teammate with another Dodger. I thought it was though in Newark, and I could be conflating stories. But again, played for a number of years before debuting with the Dodgers in 1948. I think if you scroll right, he was Rookie of the Year, if I remember correctly, on that Dodgers team with Gil Hodges, Jackie Robinson, Pee Wee Reese, Carl Furillo. Quite the squad. So,
all right.
Always interesting there. Those were our top 5 vote getters: Oscar Charleston, Minnie Minosa, Judy Johnson, Bill Foster, Roy Campanella, and then 2 more. A third of voters.
We're gonna have to save it till the break because the break's just about to kick in here, EVC, and we'll be back in 2 minutes and bring Sporer on with his little surprise for the Three Amigos show. Back in 2 minutes. All right. We are back. We're back with EVC, Amigo number 1, and we'll bring in the third Amigo in just a little bit. But quickly, who are the other 2 that you wanted to mention briefly?
The other 2 that came in about 33% of the vote was Andy Cooper and Cannonball Dick Redding.
All right. There you go. So good luck for those of you in against the set. All right. We are going to bring in our third Amigo here. So give it up for the one, the only. Do we call him Mr. or do we just say Sporer? I don't know. Let's give him official title, Amigo Sporer. Welcome in to the show. How you doing, Sporer?
I'm doing very well. Thank you guys so much for having me on. You do not need to call me Mr. at all. Nothing formal whatsoever. But what's going on, guys? It's great to be on. Debut episode here.
Oh, yeah, I love to have you on and getting some hype for the show each week and giving Dish a little bit of love as he's frantically probably getting ready in the next half hour. So, Sporer, let me ask you this. I mean, you've got what I would consider almost a dream job. I mean, you get to take players in baseball history and create a fantasy, use for them in our game OOTP 24. And I know you're a Future Legends, that's kind of, I think where you had your kind of beginning, that's kind of your jam is the Future Legends. You must have a lot of fun with the Negro League sets as well.
I think they're fun on the exact same level because it is a lot more latitude, right? I try to stick to the stats for a good bit of things, right? I'm not trying to create completely fictional cards. When we do season samples, there's going to be small samples that are going to inflate things. I totally understand that, but we're still trying to stay within reality. Well, obviously with the Future Legend, we're projecting the future. So we kind of have to guess and we kind of get to do what we want there. And we'll see if those players can reach those heights. With the Negro Leagues, we're going off of real stuff, but it is scattered, right? So with those cards, I end up reading more than any other set that I do, like reading articles, reading stories, and learning about these players and taking things, that come from these articles like, oh, he threw a blazing fastball. Okay, I'm going to click up the fastball a couple miles here. Or, he was able to play all over the field. Oh, we've only got 2 positions for him. I'll give him a couple more. So it's like, I will add different things based on these stories that we read, that Saber Bio does, Seam Heads does, Baseball Reference, just random spots on the internet, the Negro League Hall of Fame. And so it really is probably the most fun I have making a set above any other, because I'm learning so much history too. The Negro Leagues, I'm so glad that they're now counted on like Fangraphs and Baseball Reference as official major leagues. And of course, the circumstances under which they were born is obviously horrible, that they were segregated out of Major League Baseball. But what they made of it was truly amazing. And these were some of the best ball players ever. They would have cooked in the majors if they'd been able to play, but they cooked on their own stage. And I did know, I'm sure you got corrected on Elite a bunch yesterday, EVC, when you were saying that on your stream. But people that know, they know that you're supposed to call it Elite. It's not Elite. But anyway, yeah, the best set that I make every time. That's why we've done 4 of them, and we might not be done. Who's to say?
Oh, might not be done.
Oh,
There you go.
dropping the foreshadowing. Do you have a player that stands out? Do you have a story? Do you have something as you're researching the cards that you came across that might be a fun little fact?
I mean, I had a pretty ugly story. If I'm gonna, I don't mean to bring the mood down, but I talked about it on Tuesday with Jose LeBlanc. The circumstances under which he passed were pretty horrendous. He was bashed in the head with a bat after arguing with somebody, and like, that's just unbelievable. Obviously, it's a heinous story, but it's like eye-popping. I could not believe that when I was reading that. Of course, Double Duty Radcliffe. They have the best nicknames, by the way, too. And some of these guys, like this year, you might see that it's Elwood DeMoss instead of Bingo DeMoss. How cool can you be that your real name, Elwood, is pretty much as cool as your nickname, Bingo, which was the case for DeMoss. I love the nicknames that they have. I love that, they're running short teams. People got to play everywhere. Double Duty Radcliffe, pitcher and catcher, which always makes me think of the Bugs Bunny cartoon where he pitches to himself. I don't believe Double Duty Radcliffe did that, but we don't know for sure. So maybe he did. Maybe he threw the pitch and then ran to the plate and caught it. But no, stories like that. And then you're highlighting on a guy right there, Ray Dandridge, in that article, a player that I've always loved ever since learning about Negro Leagues, which really came to pass with PT. As soon as we started putting them out, not just with me working there, but since they've been in PT, I've learned more and more players. And Ray Dandridge was one that I learned a ton about. He didn't even have a comp in that article, right? They came up with quality major league comps for everybody. Ray Dandridge was so unique and so badass that they did not even have a comp for him. And he's a guy in our game that catches while playing third base, and I believe the outfield too. So I just love how athletic and unique these players were, and it helps create some of the best cards that we have every year.
Yeah, and I love learning like Double Duty was a catcher. I really didn't really know. I knew he played multiple positions. I know he was a catcher, and now I always like to get him on a draft. They put him at a catcher.
Me too.
It's like the secret thing behind the scenes about the player, and having that with a card just makes it so much more fun to be able to play it all the time.
Totally agree.
Yeah. And Dink Moth, though, like that's probably my favorite
Dink's
card
a great one.
released so far. I mean, he plays everything, and such a utility guy in bronze that I think he's still, considered meta in bronze, at least somewhere on the roster. So,
oh yeah.
Kudos to you. Shout out for a great job on the Negro League sets, and as EVC mentioned earlier, more Negro League players than we've ever seen in the game before. And as you said, maybe more coming.
Yeah, we made a concerted effort to really dive deeper in, get some of the Cuban stars that fall under Negro Leagues, like with the Havana Cuba stars and things like that, expand out. Seam Heads expands their database. So Lucas says we want to expand ours, and we have done that for sure.
And it's great to have cards that play later in the cycle versus traditionally this was like an April 15th, Jackie Robinson Day kind of set. Now you get the exposure of cards. You can play them deep into the cycle, which is always awesome.
Yeah, and that makes me really excited about it. We're going to have some bangers coming out today. And like I said, we might not even be done after this.
All right. Well, I said the teased there was going to be a little bit of a surprise, and Sporer has come on and he said, Lap, we can do an early bird release. So for you guys out there in chat, we've got a special for you. We've got the Sporer's early bird TWIPT release. Yes, he is going to we're going to introduce one of the new cards from today's set. And we're going to give you guys a chance to guess who this player is based on a few clues we have for you. So as you can see there, only guess one player per clue, because I know some of you would list like you would just copy and paste the whole roster and just put it there and say, see, I got it right. one guess per clue, and I will post, something like here, okay, it's time for the first guess. And our first clue is it's a 1906 card. So put in your guesses. Eagle Eyes, EVC, and Sporer are going to look for the right answer here of who this card is. It's a 1906 card.
Joe Creed.
Give you a few seconds.
That's lovely.
Joe Creed. So close. So close. All right. Second clue. Played for 6 teams named the Giants. This player played for 6 different teams with the nickname the Giants.
Seeing some good guesses here. Andy Cooper. Rube Foster's already out. Saw Judy Johnson guess. It's not Minnie Minoso. Did have a birthday yesterday, though. Happy birthday to Minnie Minoso. Although I believe he's passed. Or is he still alive? I think he played probably like 2 weeks ago, so he's probably still alive.
Third guess. This is an Ohio-born player. Ohio-born.
Y'all have mentioned some names that share a commonality with our player here
Ooh,
to give a supplemental clue. Yeah, Minnie Minoso died in 2015, so rest in peace, good sir.
All right, clue number 4.
We have a winner.
We have a winner. There we go. Grant Johnson is our winner. And the other clues, he won a Winter League championship with the Havana Reds. And he out-hit Ty Cobb and Sam Crawford in a 1910 exhibition set of games against the Detroit Tigers. So sorry, Sporer. I know it's your Tigers.
That's okay.
But
that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Cedar writes, did my supplemental clue help at all to get you to Grant Johnson? Because there had been a few Johnson guesses, and I figure I'll just give a little extra nudge there. And then we had one in the bag that we think people would have gotten if nobody had gotten it. EVC, do you want to share that story about Grant Johnson?
He purportedly, when he was younger, hit 60 home runs, giving him his nickname, Home Run Johnson.
Yep.
So there you go, Grant Johnson.
That was going to be the last one if we hadn't gotten to him yet.
We did talk about him yesterday
right.
on the stuff, and we had 2 winners in Guess the Set who both guessed Grant Johnson. It was Fussmucker and Cubs fan 23 Steve.
There you go.
Congrats to you guys on
Congrats, Fuss and Cub fan Steve. Okay, Sporer, give us a little, bring the card up here. Give us a little bit of insight into what we're seeing with Grant Johnson.
Do you want me to bring up the slide and then do I share my screen?
Nope, I got it.
Oh, okay. So, of course, nickname being Home Run Johnson, has to get some power. 97 for Grant Johnson, up the middle for you with second and short. He profiles as a shortstop on the card, but you're probably liking him better at second base, where he ranks as a 105. And like I mentioned on the Tuesday show, I don't get too hung up on those overall numbers at the position. But then you go look at the read, as I call it, the range, error, arm, and double play, and it's pretty good. 92 range, 94 double play. Those are the 2 factors I'm looking at second and short mostly. The errors, it's a little light at 71, but a guy with big range, that means they're going to get to a bunch of balls. And in a modern setting era, like if you're playing a PD where you bring up Home Run Johnson, there's not that many errors in general, so don't get too hung up on that. And of course, Home Run Johnson has to have some power. 102, 107 against lefties, 101 against righties, 99 favoring lefties a little bit. Pretty balanced overall, except in that BABIP bit, it kind of gets imbalanced, 94 to 87. But the power just has a 6-point difference. The eye has just a 3-point difference. Not much for base running, but we'll get your small ball on with the sack bunt for hit if you want. Grant Johnson, a solid up the middle option at second and short for your diamond teams.
All right, yeah, and I'm going to look forward to pulling that card, 97 diamond. And as I mentioned on my Monday or Tuesday show, I put out a little Google form here that you guys can fill out. Let me put it on the screen here. Sporer's been great with trying to create for his Tuesday show some community cards. And again, no guarantee, but if you haven't filled out this form yet, I'm kind of collecting all responses and I'll give them to Sporer. We've got 18 in already. Just simply put who are a couple players and the teams they were on that maybe you'd like to see in a future Tuesday release set. Again, no guarantees that they'll be created, and likely they're going to be, somewhere between the iron and maybe gold level. and they're not part of the meta, but just some fun community cards. We've seen the Joe Creed. We've seen the Buddy Bianchilana.
Evan Gaddis,
yeah.
you know, before the show came out, he was kind of a precursor. But yeah, you know, if you got your players out there, your pet players, they could be meta too, right? Some of them are good enough to fit the meta. But if you're really looking for a pet player that you're just dying to have, I'm taking suggestions. And I really do appreciate Lap doing. He did this on his own, which I really, really appreciate. It's going to help me get some more cards that you guys like, because at the end of the day, we're the ones, you know, y'all are the ones playing. I play too, of course, but we're the ones playing. We want to have cards that we like. So I'm happy to put in guys that y'all are looking for that aren't out yet, because we still got several weeks to go with content. The Tuesday show is going to be consistent. There might be a holiday miss here or there, depending on when the holidays fall, although I believe Christmas is Monday, so I would be available that following Tuesday. So anyway, yeah, thank you for that, Laptop. I really appreciate you putting that together.
All right.
I put mine in.
Well, guys, we're gonna have to raid over to DishNet pretty quick here, so people can get their drops. It's been a short episode, fun episode. Thank you, EVC and Sporer, for coming on and creating some hype for this new set. Any closing comment, EVC, before we let you go?
I'm excited for Home Run Johnson. I think he's a Larry Doby replacement, possibly. Slightly better defense, slightly better eye, power. I'm kind of excited for my theme team. My franchise was gone, so I don't know. I can't remember what team he's going to be on, but I'm excited.
All right, and Sporer?
Get ready to change some teams today, y'all. You know, we got a handful of golds coming, bunch of diamonds, and some big 100s. I think they're going to break into different parts of the meta today. So I'm really excited about some of these players. Going to have to work hard to maybe get some of them, but it should be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see how y'all react.
All right, again, don't go anywhere. We are going to send you over there to DishNet as he starts up his stream momentarily. Before we go, though, we've got a little bit more hype to leave you off on. If you saw the intro, well, we've got an outro for you too. So thanks, guys, for watching. We'll catch you on the Hawk Reports after TWIPT at around between 1 and 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Lap.
All right, chat, let's get the hype going.
100 overall right-handed pitcher, Max Scherzer. Talking about the big kahuna of the deal. Ladies and gentlemen, from the 2008 Milwaukee Brewers, probably one of the best trade deadline acquisitions of the last 15 years. 100 overall left-handed starter, CC Sabathia. From the Milwaukee Brewers, it is peak second baseman, 100 overall, Ricky Weeks. 100 overall, Roberto Clemente. And boy, howdy, does that picture go hard. .100 overall center fielder from the Boston Red Sox, peak card, Fred Lynn, your winner of the 2023 MLB Home Run Derby It was 99 overall first baseman from the Toronto Blue Jays, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. with the trophy and the chain. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, 100 overall, who played between 1878 and 1894. It is 100 overall, Monty Ward. Chicago White Sox, it is Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Mr. Audit out here
fault, man.
slandering my name and has some gall here. But now let's make Mr. Audit look silly here with this next card. Go ahead.
Let's make him happy as well, because
Yes.
your 100 overall pitcher comes to us from the 1986 Boston Red Sox. It is right-handed starter Roger the Rocket Clemens. Ooh, this is a hot card. Hot card right here. It is 100 overall. Ron Santo. 100 overall. Ivan Punch Rodriguez. From the 1990 Oakland Athletics, the 1990 American League MVP, Ricky Henderson. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from behind the plate, 100 overall, catcher, Josh Gibson. This next guy, we're gonna go back to stimulating y'all's 12-year-old brains here, because our next guy comes to us from the 1945 Chicago White Sox. It is 69 overall, pretty nice player, Johnny Dickshot. Let's go to the Power Era. And you know, the Power Era was a time of power. Rob Tomlinson, 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, our final card of the evening is 100 overall. Oh. No, okay, I think Paul's trolling me again. With this one. Tony Suck. We had to bring up Tony Suck at some point. This is not an actual card. Good. That's a good joke, Paul. That's a good joke. This guy, actual ball player. And he sucks.
I'm Lucky Dave.
I'm Ned Niederlander.
I'm Dusty Bottoms, and together we're
The Three Amigos.